B is holding a conference call. Let's cut across some important statements coming out of there.
To see how many of these assets we can effectively sell down. Last quarter, which is what you see in the financials, involves the sale of certain overseas foreign currency, two foreign currency transactions, and I think we came out quite well on them. One of them we got 62.5% to the principal outstanding, and the other we got 77.5% to the principal outstanding. But more than that, the way we are looking at it is that if there are a lot of offers coming on the table in terms of purchase, and these are not ARC related security risks but cash down, in some way these are hopefully smart monies, and therefore they are probably a predictive indicator that the resolutions around them may also happen quickly.
So the list which is available on your website, that would be gross of provisions. Am I right?
That would be the total amount of money outstanding.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I would correct that. That is the total amount of principal outstanding.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. The next question comes from Manish Oswal from Nirmal Bank. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. My question on do we have exposure in business family in South Africa, where we had some penalty by the Central Bank of South Africa? So do we have any exposure for that business family, Gupta family?
Okay, I'm going to give you a slightly longer answer to this whole thing. The first thing is protocol and conventions require that as long as the regulators are investigating us, we should not take an aggressive position and rather wait for the regulatory exercise to be completed. That really is the operating process, and therefore to some extent we have not been able to be aggressive with respect to PR and responses. But from what we know or what we have seen, we seem to have complied with all the laws and regulations of South Africa. Our alerts have been working. We have disposed them off. Maybe there are some arguments around the appropriateness of the disposal they have done. But I would say let's just leave it aside for some time, because there is a process underway which is expected to conclude quite early. As of now, we have not been accused of any impropriety. So while I would watch the space, I would welcome you to listen to the YouTube where our legal counsel has spoken in the South African media, in which he kind of sums up the whole thing in more precise language. So that's really what I would say is on the South Africa issue. As far as the specific Gupta family account is concerned, the loan that we have outstanding is a historical loan that we gave to them when they were in South Africa. They are not of material amounts in any case, and they continue to be serviced till this point of time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you asked me about the fines, did you?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I will tell you. The first fine is of $1 million is because certain transactions which involved cash transaction over $25,000 was not reported. And the problem is in two parts. First, our system recorded them at $25,000, whereas actually it was $24,999.99. And so some of these guys were $25,000, but technically we did not comply with the regulation. And the second situation was there were transactions that were done during the course of the day and they were not aggregated. But of the 8 transactions on which $25,000 was brought in, 7 of these transactions related to dealing with the Indian embassy, and 1 related to an individual account not unconnected to the Gupta family. The second set of issues are around a more generic description around the fact that some of these alerts were not done, or some of the due diligence process must have been tighter. They are not account specific. Certainly they don't relate to the Guptas, but it's kind of a general position. And on that, we are in discussion with the regulators and the appellate authorities to come to a conclusion around that whole thing.
Sure, sir. Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you, sir. The next question comes from Mr. Adarsh from Nomura Capital. Please go ahead.
So, yeah, just wanted to ask a few questions around your margins in the last 2 to 3 quarters. Apart from, say, the cost of fund benefit, your yield on advances have not come down. So what's been the churn? Because otherwise system lending rates have been coming off. So what's the churn there, and what should one expect in terms of margins going forward?
Ours is slightly different. We continue to have the similar challenges as anybody else would have in the margin business, and we are not isolated from it. But what we are seeing is a large growth of assets, and therefore a shift of assets from the treasury portfolio to the consumer portfolio. And that is what is giving it a pickup on the lending side. On the deposit side, really, it's a mix in the cost of fund with a continuous improvement in the CASA ratio. So it's plain mathematics around substitution of an yield of treasury asset with consumer assets, and then the spread enhancement coming thereon.
And next year you could have some upsides coming from lower interest reversal. What was the amount, and does that add up? Because I
am right now under the obligation not to talk too much about future. So I regret that. I think at some point of time during the course of this year or this financial year or the next financial year, we are actively considering the QIP, and therefore any kind of forecast we made have to become a part of the offering document, and therefore I've been advised by my legal counsel to be very, very careful about it. But let me kind of answer the question in a slightly different way. The consumer business is about distribution, it's about products, and it's about ticket sizes, and it is about efficiency of the distribution. So it's distribution into productivity, into ticket size that really determines the growth of the business. We are increasing the investments in distribution. We are focusing on a broader range of customers, so we kind of straddle different segments. And if I take that view forward, we should continue to see some good balance sheet growth. And so on the corporate side, I think we are reasonably well positioned. For a variety of reasons, we see that we have a good opportunity to grow the corporate side, more cross-sell, and also if I were to take programs such as sales finance, they're getting me entry. It is getting us an entry into a lot of companies which we hitherto did not have a relationship with. And so we are hoping to do more new customer acquisition. We're hoping to get a better market share. And we are also expecting our international business to throw in the weight in that today we are able to offer to some customers facilities in as many as 4 to 5 currencies out of a single limit, which is what a kind of a mini international bank like us or a regional bank like us can offer as a significant competitive advantage who are other players. So those are the two things I would like to say. Invest in distribution, invest in processes, keep an outward focus, meet more clients on the corporate side, have better distribution on the retail side, then growth must happen. If growth happens and you take a view, which you are entitled to take, or that the overall NPS story will eventually play itself out, then we should see better times ahead. But as far as the specifics are concerned, I don't want to get drawn into them at this point of time.
Perfect. Thanks. That's about it, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question comes from Ankit Hazani from UBS Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Vishal from UBS.